One of the best parts of an NBA game is the deep and passionate competitive nature of it all. Have you ever watched an NBA game and swore that you heard something being said? You know the cameras couldn't pick it up, but you really wish they did. Maybe you don't have a DVR so you can't rewind, but even if you do, how much of it can you really decipher? Or maybe you jump on Twitter and scour it only to find nothing. Or maybe sometimes you can read a player's lips and know what he's saying, but even still, it doesn't have the same effect unless everyone knows what he said. I know very well about all of this, as I've watched a lot of games where this has happened. Or I've even been that person at the game yelling out to players. And if you're wondering what someone like myself is yelling at, it's usually not the other team. I'm predominantly yelling at James Dolan or the terrible Knicks players and letting them know they're pathetic. And yes, I still do really love them though. Well, we are all in luck, as we will showcase the trash talking and highlight a few of these moments for you to see what was said to whom and why. But before we jump into the fascinating world of NBA trash talk, please remember to hit the like and subscribe buttons and make sure to tell your friends and family about the journey we are about to embark on. Now let's jump right into the video. I feel the best way to start this off is with a banger between a fan and a player. The interactions between fans and players has always been a contentious one. Some fans go way over the line, but so do the players sometimes. Or in this case, it's the fan trying to purposely provoke the player, and the player bit the bait. Back in October 2017, Kyrie Irving appeared to be yelling profane language at a fan in Philadelphia who shouted, "Where's LeBron?" in a video posted on social media. You can't actually see Irving yelling it, but he confirmed it was him saying what he said. When asked about the incident the day after, Kyrie said that he has no regrets. Kyrie also said, if he's man enough to record it on video, then that's on him. Glad he got his social media name out there. 5 seconds of fame and it's going viral. I take full responsibility for what I said, excuse the kids at home, and you move on. It was clear that the fan wanted a reaction from Kyrie, and he got one. It was also obvious that Kyrie quite simply put the fan in his place. The fan didn't say anything nasty or profane, but as we all know, there are certain things in the NBA that are incredibly polarizing and gets people riled up, and LeBron James is one of them. Kyrie also added that athletes are human and that he simply yelled it in the heat of the moment when they were losing to the 76ers at the half. If there's a silver lining for this, it's that at the end of the day, it was refreshing to hear someone take accountability for their actions, as we just don't see enough of that in the world today.
Kyrie, where's LeBron? Just like this. Who said that?
It's up to the league at this point. Take full responsibility for what I said. I don't have any regrets for it.
Next on the list is James Harden. We all know that Harden is one of the best scorers to ever play the game of basketball, if not the best. He is the epitome of a walking bucket. Unlike others, we like to foolishly tag saying so. His style of scoring can, however, be a little hard to watch at times. He has a tendency to dribble the blood out of the ball for 20 out of the 24 seconds of the shot clock, or he has the ability to draw fouls and get to the line a million times a game, which can slow down the game and get old. But it obviously works for him in the Rockets, so who are we to question how he gets the job done? Well, earlier this season, pre-bubble, a fan at the Rockets and Spurs game in San Antonio voiced their displeasure with Harden after the guard picked up a foul and headed to the foul line. And Harden, in my opinion, impressively fired right back at him. Fan, no one wants to see a free throw shooting contest. Harden, nobody wants to see fouls either, goddammit. I respect James's quick wit and giving it back to the obnoxious fan.
Last 2.5 minutes. One of the smaller players in the NBA is going to check in.
The next one isn't provocative, nasty, or involve a fan. In fact, it was friendly fire. Late in 2017, when Jimmy Butler and Taj Gibson were still in the Minnesota Timberwolves, Jimmy was roasting his teammate Gibson on his feeble 3/4 of the court shot attempt. As Taj Gibson tries to heave up an almost full court shot to beat the buzzer, it fell terribly short, as if he didn't have the strength to get it there. So eloquently as possible, Jimmy yelled out to Gibson, "What the fuck was that?" It was all good though, as they were just joking, and they handed the Clippers a pretty good beatdown.
And with that rebound, Taj Gibson already with a double-double.
When we started this, we saw a fan ask Kyrie where LeBron was. Well, in March 2018, LeBron got a similar question directed back to him from an obnoxious fan. LeBron James is no stranger to hecklers, but the king wasn't letting one particular heckler get away with it. During free throw attempts from Damian Lillard, the heckler asked for an update on LeBron's former teammate. The fan tried to troll LeBron by yelling out, "Hey LeBron, where's Kyrie?" At the time, LeBron was with the Cavs. The king didn't have time for nonsense, so he quickly responded right back with, "At your mama's house." Not only is he the king on the court, but he is the king of comebacks. Good for you, LeBron. Let that heckler have it.
Reminded me that in college that Kentucky beat us in the tournament.
They don't forget, do they?
No, they don't forget.
Mama's house.
Next was a good one, because what the fans saw on the court really got their juices flowing. Unfortunately, this isn't the 80s, 90s, or 2000s, so we shouldn't have expected anything to get physical. But it was a good NBA drama that unfolded in front of our eyes. In January of 2019, Devin Booker and Gorgui Dieng had some tempers flare on the court. Phoenix's deficit read 82-62 on the scoreboard when leading scorer Devin Booker was ejected with 5 minutes 24 seconds left in the third quarter. They went on to get blown out, but that forgettable loss was overshadowed by some mid-game fireworks. The pot started to percolate when Booker took an elbow from Minnesota's Gorgui Dieng. Booker then shoved Dieng on the ensuing inbound after some yapping between them. After a scrum was separated and an official review was going on about the previous play, and both had been ejected, Booker met eyes with Dieng as the T-Wolves big man threw his thumb backward, as if to say, "Meet me in the back." Booker mouthed an "Okay, I'm going" to Dieng's challenge, and sprinted into the opposite tunnel at Talking Stick Resort Arena, with Suns director of team security Max Kayard pulling him by the waistband. Apparently, the restraint was enough for nothing to happen. Security succeeded holding Booker away from his own locker room, even though Dieng nearly reached the door. After the fact, we found out that nothing happened, and Dieng joked that they were actually thinking about exchanging jerseys after the game. Dieng also commented, "He talked to me. I talked to him back. I think he tried to hit me. Everybody could see I didn't throw a punch." In the league, a lot of guys think they are tough, and they're not. Dieng isn't wrong, and I don't think Booker really wanted that smoke, but at least it made for fun assumptions as to what was going to happen in the tunnel. Moving on to the opposite end of the spectrum, two bad boys, Zach Randolph and DeMarcus Cousins, made a memorable back and forth back in December 2017, as they usually do when they see each other. At the time, Zebo was with the Kings and Cousins was with the Pelicans. And when the Kings and the Pelicans were playing, Zach Randolph and DeMarcus Cousins got into an altercation. There was a tiny amount of pushing, and that was fine. However, the part that made this encounter memorable is what happened afterward. The two lined up next to each other during free throw shots, and Randolph, who was fired up, said to Cousins, "Where I'm from, the bullies get bullied. In my hood, bullies get bullied." And that comment was hysterical for many reasons, namely because DeMarcus is usually the bully, and he didn't look like he wanted any of Zebo, although they both had big nights on the court. Now, there are others who think Zebo said something else, but the way I see it, he was talking about bullies. This next one was funny to me because it is a Knick missing a shot. When Derrick Rose had his short stint with the New York Knicks, there was one game he was out on free throw line attempting a free throw shot. After it bounced off to the side, D Rose yelled, "Fall, bitch," when he missed it. For you all that don't know, Madison Square Garden mics are set up to pick up a little more chatter and usually capture the atmosphere a bit better. You hear a lot of noise most nights, as opposed to all other arenas. Only if they were good.
That may have something to do with it too.
Lastly, in March of 2019, Russell Westbrook, who was with the Oklahoma City Thunder and was caught on camera during a foul-mouthed rant at Utah Jazz fan who allegedly shouted racial abuse and BS at him. Westbrook clearly didn't like what was said to him during the game, which a fan caught on video. In this video, Westbrook can be heard shouting, "I'll fuck you up. You and your wife, I'll fuck you up." Westbrook commented on the altercation after the game, saying that he was a victim of racial abuse from the stands and he wasn't going to stay quiet about it. The realization of it is, how it was started, a young man and his wife in the stands told me to get down on my knees like you used to, Westbrook said. To me, that's just completely disrespectful. To me, I think it's racial, and I think it's inappropriate. I enjoy some good and witty heckling, but this was uncalled for, and I give Russ a lot of credit for staying as composed as he did, even though he looked close to firing off physically. Stay classy, Utah. What was your favorite encounter that we went over? Let us know in the comments below. There are a lot more, so be ready for some more verbal exchanges. And thank goodness for the video on our phones, otherwise we would miss out on a lot more.
I'm gonna tell you one thing. I'll fuck him up. He said I promise you. I promise you. See, I'm playing. I swear to God. I swear to God.